Hello everyone and welcome back to the brewery for part 3 of our American Honey Pale Ale Brew Day. If you were watching part 2, we finished off with chilling down our wort and we're now ready to transfer it to the fermenter. So what I've done is shut off the water from the hose, and at this point I'm going to close the valve on the outlet of my pump and shut the pump off just so I don't lose my, what is that called? Siphon. So I don't lose my siphon in the pump and have to reprime. Now we're going to transfer over to the fermenter, and at this point in the process, now that our wort is cooled down, you want to make sure you're very sanitary with everything to avoid any possibility of infection. So my fermenter has been sanitized. I'm simply going to move the hose over. Another important step is to make sure that all of your valves are closed on whatever vessel you're transferring to. You hate to start pumping stuff in there and have something open at the bottom. So we've got that moved over. Now, all we should have to do is kick our pump on and open the valve. Let's take a look here. We are filling our fermenter, as you can see there. Ideally, we're shooting for about 5.5 gallons in the fermenter, and I believe I had right around 6.25 gallons in the kettle. So we'll see how close we can get, but I'm just going to keep a close eye on this, and as soon as I reach my volume in here, I'm going to shut the pump off and close that outlet valve again. There we go, we're right at our 5.5, which was about perfect. There's going to be some volume in the hoses and the chiller and the pump still, but I'm okay with that. Just want to show you what it looks like in the bottom of the kettle after all of that. I've got my kettle strainer there, did a nice job. Left a lot of this hop residue or trub down in the bottom, and we don't want that clouding up our beer anyway. So next, what we're going to do is oxygenate our wort, and I think you may have seen that on the Spotted Cow Brew Day. If not, it's a simple process. I've got an oxygen bottle and a little wand that has kind of an aeration stone on the bottom of it. And what you do is just turn on the oxygen and stir this fermenter a little while for about a minute. And adding extra oxygen is just helping provide a healthier environment for the yeast to really do a good job and have a complete fermentation. So we'll do that, we'll pitch our yeast, and then we'll get our cooling setup in line. I need to run uptown and get a bag of ice and a little bit more hose. So I'm going to just kind of rush through some things here, run up and get that, and I'll meet you guys when I get back. Okay, so I'm going to try and work quickly here before too much of my ice melts. But what we're going to do is take out an empty keg that is already cold actually, so that's a little bit of an advantage. I'm going to put my submersible pump in the bottom of the keg, because what I'm going to be doing is I'll be returning the water to the top of the keg through the gas in post, and it's going to trickle down through the bed of ice and cold water and get picked up again. I feel like that's the most efficient way to cool our water. If we were drawing the water off the top and returning it through the bottom, same difference. This is just the way that I have it set up. So we'll get our pump down in there and make sure to attach our hose before we go too far. Looks like I'll just have to heat the hose a little bit to get it on the barb. Good enough. So we'll just lower this guy down into the bottom. Now I'm going to gently put a little bit of ice in there. And then we'll top it up to the top with water. So here is the setup in action. This is our ice water keg. Remember, our submersible pump is in the bottom. It's pumping out through this line, up and through the cooling coil in there, and then it comes back out into this disconnect on this line and fills the top of the keg. And it looks like I've got it on the wrong side. I have it on the out rather than the in, so I'm actually filling the bottom of the keg instead of the top like I wanted to. There we go. Then another component to this system is the temperature controller, and I'll show you that here in a second. Just want to get as much hose down in the cold water as possible. So back here you see, this is the pump power supply, and this is a temperature controller similar to my Keyser. So I want to keep the Keyser about 37, 38 degrees most of the time. That's serving beer. This we have dialed in to our ideal fermentation temperature, which according to our recipe sheet was between 66 and 68 degrees. So I've got it set at 66, and what it's doing is the probe here is down in a thermo well, which is just a metal tube basically with a closed end. So I've pushed that probe down in here, and it's monitoring the temperature of our fermenter. And so this pump is going to continue to run until we get all the way down to our 66, hopefully, and we'll see how much, if any, ice water we have left at that point. But I've still got 15 pounds of ice available, so I can always drain a little bit of the water, add some ice, and so on over the next few days. It's really just an experiment to see how much it takes, but we do know our starting point right now at, I think it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a 90-degree day is 90 degrees, because it's just sitting out here, same as ambient temperature. So we'll see how long it takes to get us all the way down to our 66. Okay, update. It's been right about an hour, and we're currently sitting at 76 degrees. And I checked this maybe 15 minutes ago, but we are out of ice. Let me tell you what our actual water temperature is. Still dropping. I'm going to say we're at about 55-degree water temperature. I don't know if that focused. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more ice. Ideally, I'd like this to get to where the pump can shut off because we've gotten too cold and we're still maintaining ice. So I'm going to say that first little run, kind of to get down to temperature, I'm pretty happy with, running an hour and running out of ice. So I'm going to put a little more in there and see where we end up. But I think I'll do a more in-depth video on the cooling system later. So with that, I'm going to end today's video, and I'll update you guys when we transfer this to the keg and carbonate, which you've already seen, and give it our first taste test. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.